I never imagined a single choice could change everything. I had wandered through forests and ruins, searching for power, searching for answers, and for a way to escape the ordinary life that seemed to trap me. They whispered about her in hushed tones, the Shadow Queen, a ruler of darkness, with promises no mortal could refuse. The night I found her, the sky was heavy with clouds, and the air smelled of rain and smoke. I followed the path they had warned about, the one that led into the deepest part of the forest, where shadows clung to the trees, and light seemed afraid to enter. I could feel the ground beneath me trembling faintly, as if warning me to turn back. But curiosity and hunger for change propelled me forward. Then I saw her throne carved from black stone, and twisted vines curling around it like serpents. She sat there with an aura of elegance and danger, her eyes glowing faintly like embers in the dark. I stopped at the edge of the clearing, and she spoke before I could even form a word. Her voice was soft and commanding, and it wrapped around me like silk and iron. She asked why I had come, and I wanted to lie. I wanted to say curiosity or ambition, but the truth slipped out. I wanted power. She smiled faintly, and it was both comforting and terrifying. She promised me strength greater than I had ever known, and abilities that could bend the world to my will. All I had to do was accept her gift. My heart pounded, and I knew I should hesitate, yet desire clouded my judgment. I stepped closer and spoke the words that sealed my fate. She raised her hand, and the air shimmered around us. A darkness unlike any I had seen flowed into me, and I felt my muscles surge, my senses sharpen, and my mind awaken in ways I had never known. I felt invincible and yet vulnerable all at once. But then the pain came. It started as a whisper in my skull, then grew into a roar. I realized the gift was not free. A mark appeared on my skin, faint at first, then burning hot. I saw visions of shadowy creatures following me, of whispers of lives twisted by desire and ambition. I tried to speak to her, to demand answers, but she only smiled. The curse was part of the gift, and the gift part of the curse. I had chosen to accept her power, and now it was bound to me in ways I could not control. Nights became restless. Shadows moved differently around me, and voices whispered in empty spaces. I tried to ignore it, but I could feel the weight of the curse pressing on my chest. I realized that every action I took was now amplified by the darkness within me. Small mistakes had consequences beyond comprehension, yet the power was intoxicating. I could feel energy flowing through my veins that made ordinary tasks effortless. I could manipulate the world around me in ways I had only dreamed of. But every time I used it, I felt the mark burn, and the whispers grew louder. I walked through the forest one night, testing my abilities, and noticed that even the trees seemed to recoil from me. Animals fled at my approach, and the wind whispered warnings. I realized that power without understanding is dangerous. I began to seek knowledge of the Shadow Queen and the curse she had given me. Old texts hidden in ruins spoke of mortals who had tried to bargain with her, and of fates twisted beyond repair. I felt a chill, but I also felt determination. I could not let this power destroy me or those I cared about. I practiced in secret, manipulating shadows, bending light, and moving with speed that defied reason. Each time the gift flowed through me, I felt its strength and its danger. Slowly, I began to learn how to control it, to weave it carefully instead of letting it consume me. The Shadow Queen watched silently, appearing and disappearing like mist. Her eyes seemed to follow me, and I could feel her judgment in every shadow. She tested me, constantly sending illusions and creatures of darkness to see how I would respond. One evening, I faced a creature born of pure shadow, its form shifting and terrifying. I summoned all my strength and wove the darkness within me to counter it. The battle was long and exhausting, but I emerged victorious. I realized then that power is meaningless without discipline and courage. The Shadow Queen appeared afterward, and her gaze held approval and warning. I understood that she had not given me a gift, she had given me a trial. The curse was the test, and power was the reward for those who could endure. Days blurred into nights, and I continued learning the balance between light and shadow. Friends noticed changes in me. Some admired my abilities, while others feared them. I kept most of what I had learned secret, knowing that revelation could bring danger. Every choice I made now carried weight and consequence. The curse was subtle, but always present, a reminder that nothing comes without cost. One night I returned to the clearing where I had first met her. The moon hung low, and the shadows moved like living beings. I whispered a thanks into the night and felt the air shift. For the first time I felt the gift and curse in harmony. I understood that power without responsibility is empty, and that desire alone can lead to ruin. The Shadow Queen's mark on me glowed faintly, and I felt her presence beside me, as if approving silently. I had been tempted by the promise of power, and now I knew that strength must be earned and respected. I stepped away from the clearing, and noticed the forest itself seemed to breathe differently around me. Shadows obeyed my subtle commands, and the air seemed alive. I was no longer just a mortal seeking power. I had become someone who carried the weight of the curse and the gift, and I knew that my journey was only beginning. I realized that every choice I make from this moment onward will shape not only my destiny, but the balance of the shadows and light around me. I walked through the forest feeling both awe and fear, knowing that temptation and responsibility now lived inside me together. The Shadow Queen had given me everything and taken everything all at once, and I understood for the first time what it truly means to bargain with a being older and wiser than the world itself. Months passed, and the curse settled into a rhythm of its own. I learned how to move through crowds unnoticed, how to influence situations subtly, and how to push the boundaries of what mortals could achieve. Yet every night I felt the whispers calling, reminding me that power is never free. The mark burned softly, and the darkness inside me pulsed like a heartbeat. I experimented with bending shadows, to create illusions to cloak myself, and to sense the intentions of others. Each success brought confidence, and each failure reminded me of the price. I began noticing patterns in the Shadow Queen's tests. She pushed me to my limits, using fear, temptation, and challenge to sharpen my mind and body. I realized that she was teaching me patience, discipline, and awareness. One evening, I faced the ultimate test. A village threatened by a creature born of nightmare, and darkness appeared on the outskirts of my domain. I knew I could use the power she had given me, but every decision mattered. I hesitated, feeling the curse react to my indecision. Then I stepped forward, weaving the shadows, carefully drawing on the knowledge and strength I had gained. The battle was long and the night seemed eternal, but I prevailed. The villagers never knew what had saved them, but I felt a surge of pride tempered with fear. The Shadow Queen appeared afterward, and I could feel her approval, even without seeing her. I understood then that she had given me the power not to dominate, but to protect, to navigate the delicate balance between darkness and light. I began to see the curse not as punishment, but as a guide shaping me into someone capable of wielding immense power responsibly. Nights were still restless, and whispers never completely faded. I walked through the forests and mountains, feeling the pulse of shadows and light intertwining. I met others who sensed the energy around me. Some sought to test me, some sought to steal from me, and others came seeking guidance. I realized that my life had become entwined with the gift and curse forever. Each decision now carried weight beyond imagination. The Shadow Queen had given me a choice and taught me to understand that nothing comes without consequence. I spent days and nights practicing refining my control, learning to bend the darkness while preserving my humanity. Friends came and went, noticing the change in me. I grew wiser, stronger, and yet more cautious. I understood that power without responsibility could destroy everything I loved. The mark on my skin glowed faintly under moonlight, and I could feel the Queen watching, approving, and challenging me simultaneously. One night I returned to the clearing where I had first met her. The air was thick with anticipation, and shadows moved gently around me. I whispered softly into the night, acknowledging the curse and the gift together. I felt harmony at last, a fragile balance between desire, ambition, and responsibility. I knew that I could never go back to a life without the weight of this power, and yet I felt alive in a way I had never known. The Shadow Queen had promised power, and had given it to me entwined with a curse that would follow me forever. But I had learned to master it, to coexist with it, and to understand that the greatest power lies not in strength alone, but in wisdom, discipline, and courage. I stepped into the night feeling both fear and exhilaration, knowing that the journey ahead was uncertain but mine to navigate. The darkness inside me pulsed steadily, and I smiled softly. I had been given a gift and a curse, and I knew I would carry them both with honor and vigilance all the days of my life. The Shadow Queen had changed me, and I would never be the same.